Hello and welcome to Team Franco Bodybuilding Podcast. Hoping you guys are doing really well out there, getting it done both in and out of the gym. All right, so one more topic immediately about competition prep. And I think now this one could really wrap up this mini series quite well because I want to talk about the truth about competing too often. And coincidentally, I believe I did one titled How Frequently You Should Compete maybe 3 or 4 years ago. But after listening to it, some things have changed, some things are the same. So I will be repeating myself. But this is the one that you want to listen to. And I think it's an important topic because we all know the excitement of competing, and sometimes we want to ride the wave a little bit longer. Some cases it's okay. Some cases it's not okay. Sometimes we are pushed by coaches. Sometimes we're pushed by friends and family or want to chase that pro card. So today I just want to break it down, give you my honest opinion, and really no judgment, but just some truth for you. And many of you guys know I am passionate about bodybuilding. And just to be clear, if you're not too familiar with me, I've been working with physique athletes for over 25 years now, promoting shows for over 20. And I would say it's fair that maybe half of my clients are active competitors or at one time will compete or have competed. So the funny thing is, this is my job. This is how I feed my family, put my kids through school. This is my life. And don't get me wrong, I love it. So what I'm going to say may surprise you because honestly, I'm not a fan of people wanting to compete all the time. And the reason's simple. My job as a coach is not just to get you to the stage, it's to help you improve every time you step on stage. Now, that's my opinion. I can end the podcast there, but I'm going to go a little bit deeper. It's not just hoping that you look good, but to know that you will look better than last time. That's a significant difference, you know. And honestly, I have conversations that are tough with either potential clients or those that I've been working with, and especially the potential clients who maybe you're looking for a new coach and you reach out to me, where I'll be like, sometimes we don't want to use another prep to, fix your physique. We just need more time. And this is where the changes of coaching has, morphed over the years because a lot of people, if they're not happy with their progress, whether if they just competed or they're thinking about competing, instead of using time, they'll chase for new coaches, new plans, new strategies, thinking that's what's going to take them to the next level. But it really comes down to just giving yourself more time to grow, giving yourself more time to get leaner, instead of just spinning your wheels and just, grasping for straws. So today, I'm just going to break down why competing too often can actually hurt your progress. And I'm not just talking about physically, but mentally, hormonally, and emotionally, the mindset. So first and foremost, I think I said that twice already, but there's a baseline, and I want to address like first time competitors. So if you never competed before and you're thinking about competing, or if you had a long break, as a coach, my goal is simple. I want you to have a great experience. But I'm going to be honest with you, where any coach should be honest with you. If you don't have enough muscle, you should be told. I'm going to tell you. If you need more time to lose body fat, I'm going to tell you. Because ultimately, we want the timing to be right. We want you to do what is right on your path. And once that happens, we're going to strike. We're going to set you up with the prep before the prep, so it's an easy transition, so you don't feel like you got to switch that light switch on just to now go for it in 12 weeks. It's going to be a gradual approach, so it'll be easier physically and psychologically. So that is my goal when it comes to first-time competitors, is to build up the habits, to feel good both in and out of the gym, and then slowly make the changes so your body will respond without going drastic. Now, this is something that I may, this is not going to contradict myself, but it may sound like it. I am actually a fan, though, of doing multiple shows, but in a short time frame. Because when someone is ready, I think doing 2-3 shows within 4 weeks, a month, 5 weeks, depending on the person and the travel schedule, I think that's a good idea. Because number one, sometimes you just may need to get leaner, and you will during those few weeks. Number two, as a coach, I get to learn your body that much better because we go through the final week preparations. We see how you respond. And number three, you worked your ass off. So why not take advantage of looking your all-time best and displaying it more than just one time? Because ultimately, once you hit that level, it is short-lived because you're lean, you're in a new place psychologically, physically, and honestly, it's just not healthy to stay in that type of condition for more than a few weeks because ultimately it's going to backfire. You're going to lose muscle tissue. Your hormones will get whacked, all sorts of things. So yeah, I do like multiple shows in a short time frame if it works out for you and just to capitalize on it. That I am for. But what I'm against, and I'm not a fan of, and I see this because people signing up for my shows, even my own clients asking about it, people coming to my posing classes, I have conversations, is simply when people compete, don't fully recover, and then they want to jump back into another prep within a couple of months of their last show. Where, for example, someone competes in the fall, then they want to jump right into a spring show. Now, I love the fact that people want to be on stage, but I'm going to be honest, you're not going to see any improvements in your physique unless you are just too heavy and you just need more time to diet down. And there is a category of people that just love to compete no matter what. Yeah, they're content with the way they look. I don't judge that. But ultimately, as a competitor and a competitive coach, I like to see improvement. I like for you to do it the right way with no regrets. But if your goal is ultimately to build your body over time, doing shows season to season or, like less than 6 months or 8 months in between, you're not going to be making those gains that you're ultimately after. For example, even like beginners, I would say you can get away with competing once a year, only because you can still gain muscle during that time. You're still fresh. You don't need as much recovery. Maybe you didn't get as lean. But even when you compete, for example, say May, and then the following May, it's going to take some time to recover. That we know. Where it's going to be usually a month or two, depending on how hard you dieted, maybe 3 months. Recovery for, your psychological hormones and just to feel normal again. So what does it really leave you? Maybe 6 or 8 months, if that, to be in a building phase, to be in a phase of a caloric surplus so you can actually gain some muscle. And then you're into a cut again. So even year to year is cutting it short, but I personally did it when I first started competing. I have clients that do it, and they will make progress because they can gain maybe a little bit more muscle, lose some body fat, and then exponentially it does amplify. But there comes a time when after you do that for a few years, you're going to spread out your shows even more because you're going to present the same look. But again, if you're content with that, I can't stop you. So that's where decisions need to be made. And unfortunately, if you're being told this, some people don't like hearing it. I've had clients who've done well during this process. They have successful preps. They look great on stage. But sometimes they don't like being told, you know what, let's wait because I think you need a better look. Or I just think you need a break from like being restrictive with your diet. But the hard part about coaching is that sometimes people will jump ship. They'll go to another coach, and either it's from excitement or sometimes they're insecure where they don't want to listen to you, or they are insecure that they constantly want to compete to prove something. Sometimes they have impatience, or they think sometimes they need to suffer more to have more progress. And this is a trap that a lot of beginners will fall into. I personally will tell the athlete they need to recover, they need to stabilize, they need to grow, where instead of throwing the kitchen sink at them, they're looking for someone to be telling them they got to do hours of cardio, fat burners, diuretics, extreme deficits, you name it. They're thinking that they're going to make the progress instead of giving themselves time between shows, that this is going to be the factor that's going to make them much better. And it's all in hopes of forcing and hoping the body fat will come off, physique will be better, but most likely it's going to be stressed even more. So that's why sometimes when I'm telling people, yeah, you need more time, they're not happy. They're going to look for someone to agree with them. And that's when the prep goes backwards. Flat muscles, poor recovery, hormonal issues, burning out, digestive issues, poor training performance. Now, don't get me wrong, guys. When you push yourself in the suck zone, or what I call, the last few weeks that are just really hard, or even the last month or certain, you're going to experience some of these things. But it should never be from day one. And you can't confuse exhaustion with progress. That is the dangerous part, because you're already going to be depleted from your prep. Your body's not going to be responding the way you think it should. And quite often, people will just do more thinking that's what they need. So to me, that I take that personally, and it upsets me because I've seen it firsthand, where I will have someone do well, they have a good time, then they want more. So they'll find a coach, they'll do more. And I will, 2 instances last year. One, someone, I prepped for a show. 2 months later, I had no idea what I thought they were just going to take a break. That's what they told me. They jump into my event. I see them, and I was so confused, not because they did my show, but they looked terrible, like really depleted, just exhausted, not as sharp and full as they did 2 months earlier when I worked with them. I let some time go by. I reached out to the person just to say hello, nothing. And this young gentleman was honest with me. He told me that, yeah, he was searching for something. He tried it. And literally 2 days after he competed, he was in the hospital from extreme dehydration. Now, I didn't get too deep, but I would imagine that he was probably taking diuretics, doing tons of cardio, whatever. And he learned his lesson, and he said, yeah, listen, if I ever want to compete again, I know I'm going to come back to you, instead of just like trying to go all out. It's a true story, and it's scary because I get it. We get excited. We want to constantly improve, and we hear chatter sometimes backstage or on social media thinking that this is the way to go. It's not. Everybody's body responds differently, and sometimes you just need more time and to embrace it and just to learn from it. Because if you're just pushing for the sake of push, yes, but it needs to be a smart guidance. It's not running yourself into the ground. And I think this is where good coaches, where there's a lot of great coaches out there, will tell you, not yet. Let's slow down. Let's recover first. Let's build first. You need more time. Even if it means delaying gratification. Because long-term progress will always beat short-term desperation. And it's hard. I get it. Because you want to grind. You get into that zone. But backing off and realizing you need more time between shows, ultimately, it's going to be what is needed. Now, this does become more obvious with advanced competitors, where, truth be told, the more advanced the athlete is, typically they're going to compete less. Sometimes every 2 years, 3 years, or maybe even 5 years. And why is that? It's because their prep does become harder. They're at a higher level. They're going to be pushing their body. They know what to do. Advanced competitor may diet 16, 20 weeks or, 6 months or whatever the case may be. They're pushing their body a little bit longer and harder because they've experienced it before and they know their body, what they need. So, and this is something, analogy that I came up with. As long as you diet, that's the amount of months that you usually need to recover. So if someone diets for 20 weeks, they're going to need to recover 3 or 4 months. And usually pros who are getting super lean, they know that already. The person isn't turning around and jumping back into another prep. And that's why having a strong off-season plan matters a lot. I'm not telling you to let yourself go, not disappearing, but just training again with a purpose, recovering, building muscle, focusing on weak points, focusing on what your caloric ceiling should be, all those fun things that you'll feel much better when you're in a caloric surplus. Now, on the flip side of that, you will see some of these natural pros compete year after year. But most of the time, these athletes have built many years building their physiques up before reaching a certain level, and now they're just capitalizing on it, right? They know their body, either it's from their coach or just self-coach. They know how to handle this. They're doing, the Yorton Cup year after year for a few years or some of these other big pro shows. That's fine. They're striking while the iron's hot, because I can guarantee if they're doing a few big pro shows in a row, they're going to be taking a big break afterwards. Now, they're capitalizing on it because they enjoy it. They want to win some money. They want to take advantage of it because, they're in the prime of their career. And yeah, they can still make some improvements, not as much as a newbie, because there is a ceiling of gaining muscle. It's not going to be drastic, but sometimes just getting up on stage and learning more about yourself is just going to give you that advantage. So, I don't know, people go through all sorts of phases, and most people don't need to be pushed to compete as often as they think they do. Ultimately, bodybuilding is a lifestyle. It should be an evolution, not constantly surviving prep after prep after prep, especially if you had a bad one. I would never tell someone, you know what, this is not for you. I would only tell someone you just need a little bit more time, because I love competing. I don't do it as often, but I still love it. I still want to do it. And I know you guys do also, because you love the structure, you love the process, the challenge, the atmosphere, the stage, and that's all great stuff. And that's what it's all about. I have clients that fall into this category, and as long as I'm with them and they're honest with me, their expectations will be realistic. Sometimes people will compete and get into that zone because they're chasing a pro card, or they're just going after those titles. And to me, that's not the best approach. To me, the best approach is challenging themselves and bringing a better package the next time with adequate rest and recovery in between shows. Whether if it's once a year for the first few years of competing, or backing off every 2 or 3 years because you're becoming more advanced and you just want more time to grow or more time to diet. Prep reveals the physique. The off-season builds it. And if you're always in prep, you're not going to be truly building. That's the truth of it all. So I'm going to wrap this one up, guys. Again, this is my opinion. I'm not judging anyone. Ultimately, if you're a client or not, I just want the best for you, to make smart choices, to feel good. And so you have a constant evolution of competing and making the necessary progress. So when you step on stage next, you're happy. So, and again, we have different fingerprints. People can compete every year for 5 years and make progress. People can compete once, maybe they need 5 years off. But this is something that you want to talk with your coach, ask me questions, talk to people, and do what is right for your path and how your body responds instead of forcing it. So if this hit home, please feel free to share it. Love to hear your comments. Always reach out to me, questions or concerns, for Franco at Verizon.net, and I'll talk to you next time.